AddMaths2008 question 7. I've got to solve this equation and I've got to rewrite it in a certain way. It's given to me on the exam paper, and the major difference on the exam paper, where it says to be rewritten as, there's no cos in it. The cos squared in the question has somehow become a sine squared. Now that's a clue. There's an identity that you should learn, that sine squared x plus cos squared x equals 1. That is something that needs to be learnt. And from there, you can rearrange that to get cos squared x. If I subtract the sine x, move to the other side of sine squared, I get that identity. So what I can do, I can rewrite the question that I was given, but I can change that cos squared x there to 1 minus sine squared x. So that question becomes 2 cos squared x equals 5 sine x take away 1. The right hand side I've just copied straight down. If I multiply at the bracket, 2 lots of 1 is 2, take away 2 lots of sine squared x equals 5 sine x minus 1. Now the question on the exam paper, they've got a minus 3 in it, and they've got everything on the left hand side of the equals apart from the 0. So I need to shift these things to the other side at the moment. So I have the 2 and the minus 2 sine squared x there. Bring that across and change its sign, so it's a plus to a minus. Bring this across a minus to a plus. I get that. The 2 and the plus 1 make a 3. Combining those things, writing everything else out, that's so close to what I've got on the paper, except the exam paper has everything with a different sign. It's not a problem. If you multiply everything by minus 1, you change the sign. So change the sign of everything. That becomes a minus 3. That becomes a plus 2 sine squared x. This becomes a plus 5 sine x. Multiply 0 by minus 1, it's still 0. So now I've actually got what they want, written in a different order, but they wanted 2 sine squared x plus 5 sine x minus 3 to equal 0. Just move the minus 3, and that's it. So that's part 1 complete. Next thing I've got to do in part 2, I've got to solve this equation for all angles in the range of 0 up to and including 360 degrees. This is actually a quadratic equation. We start off with that one. It might be easier if I replace all the signs with a y, because this becomes 2 sine squared is y squared plus 5 lots of sine. Maybe it's easier to look at it like that. We need to solve that quadratic equation first of all. So hopefully this will factorise. So 2y squared has got to come from a y multiplied by a y. 3 has got to come from 3 times by 1. We need to double one of those numbers and combine it with the other to get 5. And if I put the 3 there and the 1 there, I'm going to get here 6y and 1y. And from that I can get 5 by having a positive 6, which will give me, and a negative 1y, which that will give me. And multiply those together will get me minus 3, so that's okay. 2 brackets multiplied together equals 0 means either the first bracket equals 0 or the second bracket equals 0. Well, rearranging that, that means 2y equals 1, or y equals a half, or from over here, y equals minus 3. But remember, y is actually sine x. So actually what I'm getting here is sine x is a half, or sine x equals 3. Now we need to think about the sine graph here to do this bit. And if we're doing it between 0 and 360, sine graph looks like that. Maxing at 1, minimum minus 1, that's 360, that's 180. It cannot be 3, sine never reaches there. So from that bit there, we are going to have no answer. There's an arrow there. So having no answer coming from that, but we will from this one. A half is about here. We should expect to get 2 different answers from our curve. Make sure your calculator is in degrees mode or deg mode, and do shift sin, or sin to the minus 1, however you prefer thinking of it, of a half, which is 0.5. Your calculator should tell you that is 30 degrees. That 30 degrees is the first answer that we have here. So that means that gap there is 30 degrees. So by symmetry, If that gap is 30 degrees, that gap there is also 30 degrees. So that arrow is pointing at 30 to the left of 180, and 30 to the left of 180 is 150. So those are the two answers to that equation.